Welcome to my channel. Have you ever wondered why children learn English so fast, without studying grammar books or memorizing long lists of words? You see them speaking with confidence, laughing, making mistakes, but still improving every single day. And maybe you think, it's because they are kids. I'm an adult. I can't learn like that. But let me tell you something that's not true. The way children learn English is not about age. It's about the method. And if you copy their method, you can learn faster than you ever imagined. Today, I'm going to show you exactly how. So, stay with me, because every chapter in this video will unlock a new secret that can change your English forever. Chapter 1: The Child's Secret. Have you ever watched a child pick up English words like they were catching butterflies? They don't sit at a desk with a grammar book. They don't write long lists of vocabulary. They just live. They listen. They copy. They try. And before you even notice, they are forming sentences and laughing at their own jokes in English. This is not magic. This is not because their brain is young. It is because of how they approach learning without fear, without shame, without overthinking. When children learn English, they are not thinking about tenses or irregular verbs. They are not worried about making a perfect sentence. They don't say, "Wait, is this grammar correct?" Before they speak. They just open their mouth and try. And every time they try, they get better. Even if they make 100 mistakes, they don't stop. They don't feel embarrassed. They don't feel judged. And this, my friend, is their secret weapon. The truth is, adults could do the same, but most don't. Why? Because we have been trained to fear mistakes. We think, if I say something wrong, people will laugh at me. If I don't use the correct grammar, they will think I am not smart. This fear is like a heavy chain around your mouth. It stops you from speaking. It makes you silent in moments when you could be practicing. And here is the sad part: the more silent you are, the slower you learn. Think about how a baby learns their first language. They hear words again and again. They don't understand everything, but they don't need to. They start with single words: mama, water, ball. Then they join two words: want water, play ball. They do this for months before they can say longer sentences. And when they speak, they don't care if it's perfect, they just care about expressing themselves. You can learn English in the same way. Stop thinking you need to understand every word before you use it. Stop waiting to be perfect before you start speaking. Copy what you hear, even if you don't fully understand it yet. Say it out loud. Feel the rhythm of the words. Let your tongue get used to the shapes and sounds. This is what children do, and this is why they improve so quickly. I remember one of my students, a 45-year-old woman named Maria. She always told me, "I wish I could learn like a child, but I'm too old." I asked her to try something simple. For 1 week, she would listen to the same short English story every day and repeat parts of it out loud, just like a child repeating their favorite cartoon lines. At first, she felt silly, but by the end of the week, she was smiling as she spoke because the words started coming out naturally, without thinking. She realized she could steal the child's method and make it her own. If you want to speak English faster, you must let go of the idea that learning is about studying harder. It's not. It's about living in English the way children do, with curiosity, with play, and without fear. When you stop trying to be a perfect student and start acting like a curious child, English will start to stick to you like it sticks to them. So in this journey we're starting today, I want you to keep this truth in your heart. You already have the ability to learn like a child, you just forgot how. And in the next chapters, I will remind you, step by step, until English becomes not just something you study, but something you live. Chapter 2: Why Adults Struggle. When we were children, learning was a natural part of life. We didn't sit in a classroom thinking, "This is difficult." We didn't stop in the middle of a sentence because we were afraid it wasn't correct. We simply learned by living. But as adults, something changes. We begin to carry a heavy weight every time we try to speak English, the weight of expectations. We expect ourselves to be perfect, to speak without mistakes, to impress others. And when we cannot meet that expectation, we freeze. The first big problem for most adult learners is overthinking. Before you even say a sentence, your mind is busy translating from your language to English, checking grammar, worrying about the reaction of the other person. By the time you are ready to speak, the moment has passed, and you remain silent. This constant mental checking is like trying to run while carrying a suitcase. You move slowly, and you get tired quickly. Children, on the other hand, run free because they don't carry this weight. The second problem is fear of mistakes. Somewhere in life, we were taught that making mistakes is bad, even shameful. In school, mistakes meant red marks, bad grades, and embarrassment in front of classmates. That memory stays with us. As adults, when we make an English mistake, it feels like a small failure. But here is the truth. In language learning, mistakes are not a sign of failure, they are signs of progress. Every child learns through mistakes. Every new sentence they speak has errors in it, but those errors lead them to the correct way. Adults avoid mistakes, but by avoiding mistakes, they also avoid learning. The third problem is studying instead of practicing. Adults often believe the secret to fluency is more books, more grammar, more lessons. But speaking English is like swimming. You cannot learn it by reading about it. You have to get in the water. Children spend hours in the language hearing it, using it, testing it. Adults sometimes spend hours reading about the language, but only a few minutes using it. That is why the progress is slow. I once had a student named Ahmed who had studied English for 10 years, but could not hold a 5-minute conversation. He knew the rules, the grammar, the vocabulary, but he never used them in real life. The moment we switched his focus from learning rules to living the language, speaking every day, listening to simple English daily, and copying natural sentences, his progress exploded. In 6 months, he was speaking with more confidence than in the entire previous decade. And maybe, right now, you are thinking, yes, that's me. I overthink. I fear mistakes. I spend more time studying than speaking. If that's true, I want you to hear this. There is nothing wrong with you. You are not bad at languages. You are simply using a method that was never designed for natural learning. The problem is not your brain. The problem is the way you have been taught to learn. In the next chapter, I'm going to give you the first powerful change you can make, a way to speak and improve even if you don't understand everything yet. This is something every child does naturally, and once you start doing it, you'll notice a difference in your English from day one. And trust me, this is going to change the way you think about learning forever. Chapter 3: Copy before you understand. One of the most powerful secrets of how children learn English or any language is this: they copy first, understand later. When a child hears "good morning," they don't stop and ask, "What does good mean? What does morning mean? How do I translate this into my language?" No, they simply hear it, repeat it, and use it. And because they use it again and again, the meaning becomes clear over time. They trust the process. They trust that if they keep copying, their brain will figure it out. And it always does. But adults often do the opposite. We want to understand every single word before we dare to say it. We think, if I don't know exactly what it means, I shouldn't use it. This slows us down. Why? Because language is not learned by memorizing explanations. It's learned by using the sounds, the sentences, and the rhythm of the words until they become natural. Understanding comes with time, but fluency comes with use. I'll give you an example. Imagine you hear the sentence, "How's it going?" The first time, you might have no idea what it means. If you wait until you have the perfect translation, you'll waste weeks before you start using it. But if you copy it immediately, even without full understanding, and say it to a friend or to yourself in the mirror, you will soon hear it in conversations, in movies, in songs. And slowly, you will understand that it's just another way to ask, "How are you?" That's how children learn, and it's how you can too. I remember one of my students, Javier, who used to freeze in conversations because he wanted to understand everything before speaking. I told him, from now on, when you hear a useful sentence, just copy it. Don't think too much. Don't translate. Just make it your own. A few weeks later, he told me, "It's strange I'm speaking more now, even though I don't understand every single word. But my listening is improving, and my sentences feel more natural." That's because copying builds confidence faster than waiting for complete understanding. Think about it. Children learn songs in English long before they understand all the words. They sing them with joy, and one day, they suddenly realize what the lyrics mean. That day comes naturally because their brain was absorbing meaning little by little while they were busy enjoying the sounds. Adults can create the same experience by repeating short sentences from conversations, shows, or lessons without pressure to understand every detail immediately. Here's the truth. Your brain is like a sponge. It absorbs patterns, sounds, and sentence structures without you even noticing. But for it to work, you have to give it material, the real spoken language. Copying sentences you hear is like feeding your brain exactly what it needs to build fluency. So here's your challenge. For the next 24 hours, every time you hear an English sentence you like in a video, a movie, a podcast, or even from me, say it out loud immediately. Don't write it down. Don't analyze it. Just copy it with your voice. Feel the words in your mouth. This is how you will start speaking like a child learns naturally, confidently, and without fear. In the next chapter, I'm going to show you something that makes this process even faster, a method that children use without even thinking about it. It's the power of play, and when you add it to your learning, English will stop feeling like a subject in school and start feeling like a part of your life. And when learning feels like play, you will never want to stop. Chapter 4: The Power of Play. If you watch a child learning English, you will notice something magical. They are not sitting at a table, reading rules from a grammar book. They are not memorizing long vocabulary lists with serious faces. They are laughing, running, acting, singing, and pretending. They are playing. And in that play, without even realizing it, they are learning faster than any adult who studies for hours in silence. This is the true secret. Children turn learning into a game, and because they are having fun, their brain is completely open to receiving new words and sentences. When learning feels like play, it stops being a burden. Think about it. When you are playing a game you love, time disappears. You forget that you are tired. You forget to check the clock. You are fully present. That is exactly the state your brain needs to be in to learn English effectively. When you laugh, when you act, when you turn practice into a game, you learn without feeling the pressure of learning. This is why a child can spend hours with English every day and still want more. Adults often make the mistake of turning English into a serious, stressful task. We sit with books, we get frustrated when we do not remember a word, and we feel guilty if we miss a day of study. But here is the truth. If you can make English fun for yourself, you will want to come back to it every single day. You will not need to force yourself to study, because it will no longer feel like studying. It will feel like part of your life. I remember one of my students, a man in his 30s named Daniel, who used to hate learning English. He felt stuck, bored, and tired. One day, I asked him to try something new. Instead of doing exercises in a book, I told him to choose his favorite TV series and watch one episode every night. He had to repeat funny lines out loud, act them out, and even change them to make new jokes. Within weeks, he told me, "I don't feel like I am studying anymore. I feel like I am playing with the language." His confidence and fluency grew faster in those weeks than in the previous months of traditional study. You can do the same. Turn English into a game. Pretend you are a news reporter in your kitchen and describe what you are cooking. Play the role of a shopkeeper and sell imaginary items to your mirror. Make up stories about the objects in your room and speak them out loud. You can even challenge yourself with friends or family. Who can say the most creative English sentence in 1 minute? When you bring play into your learning, something incredible happens. Your fear disappears. Your mistakes do not feel like failures anymore. They feel like part of the fun. You speak more, you listen more, and you enjoy the process. And because your brain loves to repeat experiences it enjoys, it will naturally keep coming back to English. So starting today, I want you to remember this. English is not only something you study, it is something you can play with. And when you play with it, you make it yours. In the next chapter, I am going to show you how to take this playful energy and use it in a way that turns your mistakes into your greatest teacher. This is another secret that children use without even trying, and it can completely transform your learning journey. Chapter 5. Mistakes are your best teacher. If there is one thing children never worry about when learning English, it is making mistakes. They say the wrong word, use the wrong grammar, pronounce something in a strange way, and then they just keep going. They laugh. They try again. And in that moment of trying again, their brain is learning the correct way. They are not afraid to be wrong because being wrong is just part of the game for them. This is one of the biggest reasons children improve so quickly. Adults, however, carry a heavy fear when it comes to mistakes. Somewhere in our lives, we were told that mistakes mean failure. In school, a red pen marked every small error, and those marks stayed in our memory. So now, when we try to speak English, we stop ourselves if we are not sure it is perfect. We think, if I say this and it is wrong, people will laugh at me or think I am not smart. This fear becomes a wall between you and fluency. And the more you avoid speaking to protect yourself from mistakes, the slower you will improve. The truth is that mistakes are not the enemy of learning. They are the proof that you are learning. Every time you make a mistake and then hear or see the correct way, your brain creates a stronger memory. It is like a road being built. The first time you drive on it, it is rough and bumpy. But the more you use it, the smoother it becomes. Mistakes are simply the bumps that show you where the road needs to be fixed. Without them, there would be no improvement. I once taught a woman named Fatima who was so afraid of making mistakes that she stayed silent in every English conversation. I told her something simple. You will only get better when you make mistakes. In fact, your goal should be to make more mistakes every day. She laughed, thinking I was joking, but I was serious. She started speaking more, even if she was unsure, and she began to make mistakes in almost every sentence. But a funny thing happened. In just a few months, she was making fewer mistakes without even trying to be perfect. Speaking freely had given her the chance to learn naturally. Children have no shame in getting things wrong. They will call a spoon a fork, mix up past and present tense, or invent a word if they do not know it. And yet, they still communicate. They still get their message across. Over time, with more listening and more speaking, they correct themselves without anyone forcing them. This is what you can do too. The more you speak, the more natural your corrections will become. So I want you to change the way you think about mistakes starting today. Do not see them as failures. See them as steps. Each mistake is a sign that you were brave enough to try. And trying is the only way to grow. If you want to speak English faster, you must accept that mistakes will be part of your journey, just like they are for every child. In the next chapter, we will look at another childlike habit that will speed up your progress even more. Children do not start with long sentences or complicated grammar. They master short, powerful sentences first. And when you use this same approach, your speaking confidence will rise faster than you think possible. Chapter 6: Short Sentences, Big Power. When children begin speaking a language, they do not start with long speeches. They do not try to explain everything in one breath. They begin with short, simple sentences that are easy to remember and easy to say. I like it. I want water. Come here. These small sentences are the building blocks of fluency. Once they master them, they naturally join them together to make bigger sentences. This is why children sound confident quickly. They succeed with small steps first. Adults often try to do the opposite. We want to speak like native speakers from the very beginning. We try to create long, complicated sentences, and then we get stuck halfway. We forget words, we panic about grammar, and we lose our confidence. The truth is that long sentences are built from many short sentences joined together. If you master the short ones first, you can speak fluently sooner than you imagine. Think of short sentences as tools. They are quick, they are ready, and they work in almost every situation. If you know how to say, I need help, I do not understand, please say that again, you can survive and communicate in almost any conversation. These sentences give you the power to speak without hesitation. And every time you use them, you become faster and more natural. I once taught a man named Victor who wanted to tell long stories in English, but he was always frustrated because he could not remember all the words. I told him to stop focusing on long speeches and instead build a collection of short, powerful sentences he could use anywhere. Within a month, his speaking speed increased because he no longer froze in the middle of conversations. He could answer quickly and clearly, and that gave him the confidence to keep talking. Children learn short sentences through repetition. They hear them again and again in daily life, and they copy them without fear. You can do the same by choosing 10 short sentences today and using them as much as possible. Speak them to yourself in the mirror. Use them when you talk to friends. Say them when you are alone in the kitchen. Make them part of your daily English life. Soon, you will not need to think before saying them. They will come out of your mouth naturally. Do not underestimate the power of short sentences. They may look small, but they are the strongest foundation for everything else you will build. Once you can speak short sentences without thinking, you will notice that your brain automatically starts joining them together into longer ideas. This is exactly how children grow their language, and it works for adults too. In the next chapter, I am going to show you another secret from the way children learn. Before they speak clearly, they listen carefully. They spend months absorbing the sounds and rhythm of the language, and this is what makes their speech so natural later. If you start listening like a child, your English will change in a way you can feel. Chapter 7. Listen like a baby. Before a baby says their first word, they spend months and months simply listening. They are not rushing to speak. They are not worrying about pronunciation or grammar. They are absorbing the music of the language. They hear the sounds, the rhythm, the tone, and the patterns every single day. And then one day, without warning, they open their mouth and the words start to come. This is not an accident. Listening is the silent training that prepares them to speak with ease. Adults often skip this stage. We want to speak from day one, which is good, but sometimes we forget that the more we listen, the easier speaking becomes. When you truly listen, you give your brain the chance to learn the correct sounds before you try to produce them. It is like learning a song. You do not sing it perfectly the first time. You listen to it many times until it feels familiar, and only then does your voice match the melody. English works in the same way. I once had a student named Olga who struggled with pronunciation. She would speak quickly, but many words were hard to understand because she had never trained her ear to hear the small details of English sounds. I asked her to spend 10 minutes every day just listening to short English recordings without trying to speak. Her only job was to hear the words clearly, to notice the way the speaker moved from one word to the next, and to feel the rhythm. In a few weeks, her speaking had already improved because her ears had learned to guide her mouth. Listening like a baby means listening without pressure. You do not need to understand every single word. You focus on the music of the language, the way the words rise and fall, and how sentences flow. This is what helps children sound natural when they finally speak. You can create the same result by choosing audio you enjoy. It could be a short story, a conversation, or even a song. The more you enjoy it, the more your brain will stay engaged and absorb it deeply. When you make listening part of your daily routine, something special happens. You start to recognize words faster. You begin to understand more without translating. And when you open your mouth, your pronunciation and sentence flow feel smoother. It is as if you have already practiced speaking, even though you were only listening. So starting today, give yourself permission to listen like a child. Sit with a cup of tea, close your eyes, and let the English wash over you. Do it for a few minutes every day, and you will be building the foundation for effortless speaking. In the next chapter, I will show you how children turn this listening into active speaking by talking to themselves. And when you try it, you will see how powerful this method can be for your own fluency. Chapter 8. Talk to yourself. One of the most surprising things about children is how often they talk to themselves. You will see them sitting alone, speaking to their toys, having full conversations with imaginary friends, or looking in the mirror and making funny faces while speaking. They do not wait for someone else to start the conversation. They create their own opportunities to use the language. This constant self-talk is one of the most powerful reasons they learn to speak fluently so quickly. As adults, We often wait for the perfect partner to practice English with. We wait for an English class, a friend who speaks fluently, or the right moment to use the language. But what happens while we wait? We lose days, weeks, and months of potential practice time. Talking to yourself removes all those limits. You can practice anywhere, anytime, without fear of being judged or interrupted. The more you speak to yourself, the more comfortable you become with forming sentences, and the more natural your speaking will feel. I remember one of my students, Hassan, who lived in a place where there were very few English speakers. He told me, "I have no one to practice with, so my speaking never improves." I asked him to try something different. Every morning, he had to describe his day to himself in English as he got ready. "I am brushing my teeth. I am making coffee. I am putting on my shoes." At first, it felt strange, but after a few weeks, he noticed that words were coming to him faster. He was not translating in his head anymore. By talking to himself, he had trained his brain to think in English. When you talk to yourself, you control the topic, the speed, and the vocabulary. You can practice daily routines, emotions, future plans, or even pretend conversations. You can stand in front of a mirror and act as if you are talking to another person. You can practice asking and answering your own questions. The mirror is especially powerful because it lets you see your own expressions, just like children do when they play pretend. The more you practice this way, the more confident you become in real conversations. By the time you speak with someone else, your brain and your mouth are already used to working together. You have already said many of the sentences before, so they come out easily. This is exactly how children enter conversations ready to speak. They have already rehearsed with themselves dozens of times without even realizing it. From today, I want you to make talking to yourself part of your life. Do it in the morning, do it while cooking, do it while walking alone. It does not matter if no one hears you. What matters is that you are giving your brain and your tongue the daily workout they need. In the next chapter, we will take this idea even further by learning from what you love. Because when you combine self-talk with passion, your English learning becomes unstoppable. Chapter 9. Learn from what you love. If you watch children learning a language, you will notice they never force themselves to study things they hate. They learn from cartoons they enjoy, songs they sing over and over, stories they cannot wait to hear again, and games that make them laugh. They are pulled into the language because they love the activity. That love keeps their attention, and attention is the bridge to memory. This is why they can remember new words so easily. The brain naturally holds on to what excites it. Adults often make the mistake of separating English from enjoyment. We treat it as homework, something serious that must be done with discipline, even if it is boring. But when you learn from things you love, your motivation changes completely. Instead of forcing yourself to sit down and study, you will actually look forward to spending time in English. You will not be counting the minutes. You will lose track of time because you are enjoying the process. I once had a student named Priya who struggled to keep a daily learning habit. She told me that English felt like a chore. I asked her to tell me 3 things she truly enjoyed. She said she loved cooking, romantic comedies, and motivational talks. I told her to replace her study books for 1 week with English versions of those 3 things. She started watching cooking shows in English, romantic comedies with subtitles, and short motivational speeches every morning. That 1 week turned into a month, and then 3 months. Her English improved faster than ever before, and she told me it no longer felt like learning. It felt like living. When you choose material you love, you stay curious. Curiosity is powerful because it makes you naturally want to understand. If you love music, you will want to know the meaning of the lyrics. If you love sports, you will want to follow interviews with players. If you love fashion, you will want to understand what designers are saying. This curiosity pushes you to keep going without feeling tired. It also makes the vocabulary you learn more useful because it is connected to your real life. Children learn this way without planning. They are drawn to stories, characters, and games, and the language becomes a tool they use to enjoy those things more. Adults can and should copy this exact method. You can watch your favorite movies in English, read about topics you're passionate about, or listen to podcasts about your hobbies. You can even join online communities in English where people share the same interests as you. This way, English becomes part of something you already love deeply, which makes it harder to quit. From today, I want you to make a list of things you enjoy most in life. Then, find a way to experience each one in English. Start small and make it fun. When your learning is connected to your passions, you will not need to fight for motivation. It will come naturally. In the next chapter, I will show you how to take the sentences and ideas you learn from the things you love and make them truly yours through repetition, just like children do without even thinking about it. Chapter 10. Repeat until it's yours. If you watch a child learning to speak, you will notice one thing very quickly. They repeat the same words and sentences again and again. Sometimes it can even feel like they are stuck on the same phrase for days. They are not doing this to annoy anyone. They are doing it because repetition is how the brain takes something new and makes it permanent. Every time a child repeats a word, they are building stronger connections in their brain, and those connections make the word easier to remember and use in the future. Adults often make the mistake of thinking that once they have learned something, they should move on immediately. They see repetition as boring or unnecessary. But the truth is, if you only use a word or sentence once, your brain will quickly forget it. Repetition is what turns new information into a natural part of your speaking. It is like learning to ride a bicycle. The first time you try, it feels strange and difficult. But the more times you do it, the more your body remembers the balance and the movement until you can do it without thinking. Language works the same way. I remember one of my students, Kareem, who used to complain that he could not remember the new sentences we practiced in class. I told him to choose 5 of them and repeat them every day for 2 weeks. He said it felt too simple, but he agreed to try. When he came back, those 5 sentences flowed from his mouth without hesitation. He told me he could now use them in real conversations without thinking, and that gave him a new kind of confidence. That is the power of focused repetition. Children do not care if they say the same thing 20 times in a day. In fact, they enjoy it. Every repetition makes them feel more confident because they know they can say it correctly. You can create the same feeling for yourself. Take short sentences you want to master and speak them at different times during the day. Say them while cooking, while walking, while looking in the mirror. Record your voice and repeat after yourself. Each time you do it, your brain will accept the sentence as something you own, not something you're borrowing. Repetition also removes hesitation. When you have said a sentence many times, you do not need to stop and think before speaking it. It comes out naturally, like breathing. And when you speak naturally, people understand you more easily, and you feel more confident. This is why children can answer quickly in conversation. They have repeated those words so many times in play, at home, and in school that they are ready without preparation. So starting today, choose a small set of sentences you want to master and repeat them until they feel like yours. Do not rush to learn hundreds at once. Focus on a few, use them often, and you will see how they become part of you. In the next chapter, I will show you how to surround yourself with English in your daily life so that it feels like a natural environment, just like it does for children who grow up speaking it. Chapter 11. Make English a part of your world. Children learn languages quickly because they are surrounded by them. At home, at school, on television, in songs, in games, everywhere they go, the language is present. They do not have to search for it because it is already part of their world. This constant exposure gives their brain endless opportunities to absorb sounds, patterns, and vocabulary without effort. They are learning even when they are not trying to learn. Adults often treat English as something separate from their normal life. They think of it as a class, a lesson, a special activity that happens for 30 minutes a day. But if you really want to learn like a child, you must bring English into your everyday environment so that it is always there, surrounding you and becoming part of your daily routine. The more you see, hear, and use English in your normal life, the faster your brain will adapt to it. I remember one of my students, Sarah, who made an incredible change just by creating her own English world at home. She changed her phone settings to English. She put small labels on items in her kitchen and living room with their names in English. She started following English-speaking social media accounts that posted about topics she loved. She even placed sticky notes with short English sentences on her bathroom mirror so she could read them every morning. Within 3 months, her vocabulary had grown without her even sitting down to study it. She told me it felt like English was everywhere, and it made speaking much easier because the words were always in her mind. You can do the same. Turn your home into a place where English lives. Change your phone, your computer, and your apps to English. Put English books or magazines in places where you spend time, even if you only read a little at a time. Watch English videos while you eat. Play English songs when you clean. Listen to English podcasts while you travel. Make it so that your brain sees and hears English so often that it feels natural. When you create this environment, English stops feeling like a foreign language and starts feeling like a normal part of your day. You will find yourself thinking in English more often, remembering words more easily, and speaking with more confidence. This is exactly how children learn without effort. They do not study the language all day. They simply live in it. From today, I want you to stop thinking of English as something you do and start thinking of it as something you live in. Fill your world with it until it feels like a friend who is always by your side. In the next chapter, we will bring everything together. I will show you why age does not matter and how you can learn exactly like a child if you are willing to change your method and embrace the joy of learning again. Chapter 12. You can learn like a child. Many people believe that children learn English faster simply because they are young. They think it is about age, about a special ability that disappears when you grow older. But the truth is different. It is not age that makes the difference, it is method. Children learn faster because they live inside the language every day. They listen more than they speak. They copy without fear. They play with words. They repeat until the sentences are part of them. They surround themselves with the language without even trying. These are not skills that belong only to the young. They are habits that anyone can choose to follow, no matter their age. If you have watched children learn, you have seen how free they are. They do not wait to be ready. They do not stop themselves because they are worried about being wrong. They do not hide from speaking because they think someone will laugh. They simply try, and every time they try, they grow. Imagine what would happen if you approached English the same way. Imagine speaking without fear, without overthinking, without waiting for perfection. That is the path to fluency, and it is a path you can step on today. I have seen it happen many times. Adults who once felt hopeless about English have transformed their learning by adopting a child's way of doing things. They stopped translating and started copying. They listened to English every single day, even without understanding everything. They talked to themselves, used short sentences, learned from things they loved, and surrounded themselves with English in their world. Slowly, their fear disappeared. Confidence grew, and one day, they looked back and realized that speaking English no longer felt like a dream. It had become their reality. You can do this too. You have already learned a language before in your life. You learned your first language as a child, and you can use that same natural process again. All it takes is the decision to stop waiting for perfect conditions and start using what you know now. Even if your sentences are short, even if you make mistakes, even if your pronunciation is not perfect, you are still learning in the most powerful way possible. So today, I want you to promise yourself something. Promise that you will not let fear control your learning. Promise that you will try, even when you are not ready. Promise that you will repeat, play, listen, and speak every day, just like a child does. Because if you follow these habits, English will stop being a subject you study and start being a part of your life. And once that happens, there is no going back. You can learn like a child. You can speak with confidence. You can live in English and enjoy every step of the journey. All you have to do is begin, and the beginning starts now.